Are you just dry? Are you out of good ideas and ways to generate more leads, more engagement on your social media, and ultimately more customers? Have you been trying things that worked 10 years ago, even 5, and let's face it, even 3 that really will not work today without a new spin on this minute post-pandemic that we're in? I'm Deborah Atkinson. You're listening to what is currently Fitness Marketing Mastery, but we are looking at a name change. So if you haven't had a chance to vote on that name change, I'll give you an opportunity to do that. The one I will tell you that is resonating with many of our listeners right now is She Means Fitness Business. We're working on a little spin on that, but kind of like the idea of it short and sweet and it telling the whole story. But I'd love to hear your input on that. But this is, regardless of the title, the place where I share marketing and sales strategies that I've used for, well, let's face it, for 35 years, but especially the last 10 focused on women in midlife. Because here's the deal. We are all marketers. I don't care who you are. If you're one of our clients, you still are marketing something on a regular basis. And the deal is, if you're a great health and fitness professional, that does not mean you don't need to market. It means you need to market louder, stronger, and better than those sleazy, salesy fitness and health coaches that were out of a Cracker Jack box over the weekend because they know that they can get clients, but we know that we can help clients. So we make the fitness and health coaching industries far better when we become better at marketing and sales strategies. And if you think of it this way, if you're adverse to quote unquote making more money, and yet you're struggling and broke and want to make more money, it's an incongruency within you. And I get it. That takes some time working through. But if you can reframe and realize there are lots of women out there looking for support, looking for you, not finding you because you potentially don't have your message fully put together. I'm going to share a link to the Marketing to Women course. That's a side note. I want you to stay here, stay focused, because I'm going to give you 5 marketing ideas that will help you be a better marketer. And ultimately, if you market really well, you don't have to do a lot of selling. People are asking, how do I work with you? So that is the gold. But here's the deal. I've been doing this for 38 years and really marketing for other people is when I started working for other people for 35 years, marketing them. In the last 10, I've been exclusively marketing Flipping 50, but also been consulting with other fitness businesses. So I know what works. I also know right now what doesn't. One of those things is trying to market to customers and clients the way you did 3 years ago, let alone 10 or 20. And expecting that to work today is not going to happen. So listen, in this episode, I'm sharing 5 marketing ideas for female fitness and health business owners. And if you're stuck, this will help you get unstuck. They're not rocket science. I will warn you ahead of time. But as I'm recording this on a Monday morning, do you love Monday? I don't know. Some of us do. I know that this morning, maybe more than most, meaning Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, can be a pain point for fitness and health coaches. If you aren't full on a Monday, if you don't have a lot of calls and inquiries, maybe especially if you've tried to work through the weekend, but even if you try to take some time off, it's tough to feel like you're doing enough. It's so easy to feel like you are not doing enough, but not knowing what that is. So these 5 marketing ideas have a little to do with doing more. They're really about some things that you already have and using them better. Okay, number 1, diving right in. Tell your story. Look, this is really important. People want to do business with people. So you know my story. but it is oh so relevant. And every once in a while, you just need to go on and you need to say, hey, this is the reason I'm here. This is how this whole thing happened. And, here's how it was for me. I'd been in business for about 30 years and I actually quit my job on purpose. I had quit teaching in kinesiology at Iowa State University a few years before this. Well, actually, just a couple before this. But I actually then decided, okay, even the private sector, I'm limited right here to what I can do and who I can reach. And I actually want to help fitness professionals like you with marketing and sales strategies for this very reason that I opened up with. It's got to be us. We have to be better at it, comfortable doing it, and understand the value of doing it in order to help more people and get to them better than the sleazy marketers who are out there. You know it, and I know it. So when I quit, I was like, okay, I was committing the cardinal sin, right? I was involved with somebody that I worked with. And, part of my reluctance of quitting was I wouldn't be working with that person every day. But I said, okay, this is a real test, right? Is it really the relationship or is it a work relationship? So that proceeded to fall apart while I was struggling, right, to take what I had done for years, decades, and build an online business with the systems and tools that I'd created. And it was a learning curve. So unlike today, there weren't tons of platforms like Thinkific and, all the places where you could just go, blah, here you go, build my course, I'm done. I actually had to do it. I had to build a website. I had to find somebody who understood building courses, how I was going to deliver it, how I want it dripped out, learn how to do funnels. And there weren't people teaching that then. 10 years ago, it was like one thing at a time. I'm going to do that. And then I got to realize all those things I do one at a time have to be integrated. And that was problematic. So I won't walk you through it, but I had a lot of days sitting at my dining room table on the computer in my pajamas for way too many hours a day. And that had never happened before. And so I went from somebody very, very active to somebody who I barely let myself away from that computer because I was like, this has to happen. Like, I don't have a backup plan. I jumped with 2 feet. I just quit. No insurance, no TIAA cruft, no, nice perks if I get a day off. I still get a regular paycheck. No, none of that. Gone, nada. And I'm going to start paying college tuition in 8 months. Seriously? Okay. So yeah, you can see, that it was a little, easy to keep living the life I had lived. No debt, owned my house outright, owned my car, zero debt, literally, and lots of assets. And then I would have this wake up where, wait a minute, I'm actually not employed. Like, where's that money going to keep coming in from? I always had that feeling that it was going to work out. Fortunately or unfortunately, I always still have that feeling, even when it's a hot mess. It doesn't mean I don't do a little worrying about it, but I do know that if I am doing the right things with the right mindset and the right heart, that it will work out, that I will meet the right people that I'm supposed to meet as it happened. It did. However, there's a lot of struggle. And ultimately, that first year, about 11 months later, I was like going through money a lot faster than anything is coming in. And I'm very, very uncomfortable with the amount of cash I have in my bank account. And that wasn't a lot, right? So I was looking at for the next couple of months, I was looking at when I have to pay taxes, property taxes on my house, and when I have to pay taxes, period. And although it was a loss, so that was probably a good thing that year, there was just a lot of things coming at me, and then the reminder, there was that college tuition every semester that I'd made a promise and I was not going to renege on that. That caused me to put my house up for sale, house that I loved. So it's Christmas time, it's December, everybody else is putting up their Christmas decorations and I am taking down every picture in my house. And there's a lot of them. I like art. I like family pictures. And, my realtor calls and I'm like, this is really bad timing. I'm taking these down, and I'm literally, there's tears streaming down my face. And because the realtor says people like to imagine their own art on the walls, and it makes it easier for them when yours is not there. Great. So this is early December, and it's like sub-zero temperatures in the middle of Iowa. And that went on actually for a couple of months. By the end of January, I mean, everybody was encouraging me to go get out because it was too painful to be in this town and surrounded by people who actually didn't know anything or enough about, my relationship, which had fallen apart. And so it just felt like this is just too much, can't be here. And so I left. And February 1st, or the day before, because she wanted me to be there in February, I left. I drove all of my belongings in the middle of that house, in every room in that house, in boxes. Like, 4,200 square feet of a home that I loved, in a place that I loved, and a community I loved. And I left with what fit into my car, along with my dog and my bike on the back. Like, bizarre, right? And drove to my niece's home. She'd invited me to come stay with her and her husband, 3 children, 2 dogs, with my old English sheepdog in the basement bedroom. Now, it's a lovely neighborhood. It was a lovely home. It was not, quote unquote, like a basement, but it's not what you imagine for yourself at 49. Right. So I actually I needed a place to land. This is the first time in 30 years, right, that I never had a gym, or 1, 2, 3 or more gyms to walk into, because I managed and or taught there, or worked there. So I had been used to being able to go to the exercise clinic at Iowa State University with keys, to go to, 3 different locations of a health club and work out there. That's never happened, that I suddenly don't have any place, like I would have had to bought a membership. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't have a place to land. And so I talked to the owner of a business in Boulder, Colorado, who then became a good friend and colleague. And I folded towels for the first 3 months as I lived in Boulder. Worst and best thing that could have happened, because I mean, here I am, right? I'm like 49, 50, folding towels at the front desk, checking people in. But it was the best place to meet people and get a feel for the gym, and get known, if you will, just by meeting people. And and then I finally realized, in May, I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is crazy. I'm folding towels for $20 an hour, where I could be building a business that makes me far more than that, but I'm getting in my own way. I can't do that if I'm doing this with these sporadic hours. So I quit, and again, put myself in that position where I'm going to make this work. And so again, struggle. There were lots of months where there wasn't a lot coming in. I was not making 100,000 that year, for sure, for first couple, potentially. And I had been in the mid 6 figures comfortably, living in Iowa with 0 debt. So definitely a struggle. I mean, there were months where my expenses, again, were greater than my revenue, but I had by that time sold the home that I was living in. So now I had a little backup. I was padding, at least had something there if I didn't quite make it. But again, not a place you want to be in. Like, literally almost paycheck to paycheck, living off of what you have, in your account. Otherwise, if you don't make it, crazy. I think about this, and it's so surreal that I'm telling this story. But what I tell you this for is because In the last year, 3 out of 6 months, I broke 100 figures. That's more of a regular thing right now. So that was a big deal the very first time it happened, but it wasn't just like barely inching over. It was well over a month, right? So I'm looking at like that would have been like more than 2 years of revenue from the very, first time when I gutted my revenue. And if I can do it, you can do it. And you can definitely do it on an accelerated path right now. So I tell you this because I want you to think right now, not about my story, but I want you to think right now about what you think about and feel about me, because that is really important. And you may have really one or the other polar extremities. You may be like, I can't believe you told that story. This is like inappropriate. And you're probably not going to listen again. And that, my friend, is okay too. But for those of you whom that resonates with, like, this is the reality of what people go through to do what they know is their purpose, to know what is a meaningful job in their future, that should tie us together. If you agree that, you want somebody who you can follow, maybe, don't mean to flatter myself, but that you would treat as a mentor who has not just like had it easily come to them all the time, just progressively and linear fashion wise, like go from here to here to here, because that's really not the way it happens. Life happens, as you know. And if you're also in midlife, you know that really well by now, right? So I encourage you to think about, what is your story? Like, this is my story for you. If I were telling a story to women in midlife, to my consumers, I would potentially tell more about how I discovered the After 50 fitness formula for women and what that was like, and the resistance that I had during that time. As I was trying to get the word out about that, wasn't very well received by even the fitness industry. And I would have the same story, but with a different angle about what I talked about. And you will have that too. When you're in front of people, you tell the story that resonates most with them, but you have to dig those stories out. You don't actually want to just give that facade that you're perfect. And that makes you actually very unapproachable. So if you can tell the truth and surround yourself with people who encourage you to tell the truth, even though they were a part of the problem originally, then you're with the right people. So it's really important to me that authenticity rings true in my whole life. Who you see me be online, on social media, who you hear right now in this podcast, and who you would see if you came over to my home is the same person. There really are no secrets. I'm going to tell you all of it. There are struggles all the time, all the time. And that's really what people want to know, is that you're actually a human behind this business. So there it is. What's your story? Spend a little time with that. You already have it. You can't rewrite it. I mean, you can write the next chapters, but what you want to be telling is your previous ones, and help yourself get to know your customers, and likewise them you. Number 2, okay, a little less heavy, all right? And we'll spend a lot less time on the last 4, so bear with me. Find your best performing content and just rinse and repeat. So the biggest mistake that I find fitness and health pros make is they created one post that got lots more engagement than any before it, and then they switch gears because they see something somebody else did that also got really good results, but it's not congruent. It's maybe different topic. And what you want to make sure you're doing is stay true to yourself and to your audience. Don't look at somebody else who's got an inflated number of followers. I've got some accounts, friends even, that I know, they've got well over 10,000 followers. But the truth is, when I look at their posts, they may have 20 or 30 likes on a post, but they don't have hundreds. They don't even have thousands. So it really doesn't make sense. The people who are following them aren't even liking them. They're not liking their posts, they're not engaging or commenting. So that tells me and should tell you that potentially many of those are fake, that they just bought them. And so they've got inflated numbers. And you don't want to mimic something that you don't know on the back end. Something is revenue generating, right? So if you've got maybe a very small audience of 2,000 or 3,000 people, but they're very engaged and they're all buying, that's far more valuable than having the golden 10,000 people who are just fake, not buying anything. You're still broke, right? So it's really important that you don't judge, oh, they're so successful and they're so big, and assume that they're making money, because potentially they're not. So here's what you want to do is find a collection of images I'm backing up, I'm getting ahead of myself. You want to be sure you look at their posts and you can scroll over them, right? So if you scroll over their posts while you're on your computer, you can see how many people liked and commented, and then look at, is there incongruency with the size of their followers overall? Good chance that's fake. So make sure you stay true to your content. What did your audience resonate most with? Even if your numbers are small, go back to that content. What are the top 5 performing things? What were the topics? What is that post or posts look like? Like, was it faces and eyes? Because those do really well. Or what was different about those posts, the front facing image, the visual. So if you can come up with, here's what the topics were, here's the titles, here's what the caption was, here's the image or the video and the cover, you'll come up with, okay, I should create more like this. Okay. Number 3 is establish brand continuity that resonates with your customer. Of course, don't just choose it. But here's the mistake: using images that are just all over the board. Like if I look at your account on Instagram and they don't seem to all fit together, that's like different backgrounds. Some are dark and some are light. Some are close up and some are far away. You want to find a collection of images. And I recommend that you go to like Canva. I think most of us are using the free version or paid version, but go to Canva, collect a bunch of images and put them into a file and just say, okay, these are the ones I like, and they go together and there's congruency between them. Study them. What is it that you like about them? And then look at your posts and see if you're using similar things like that. But you want to create that. You want to create that to teach somebody else. And if you're working with somebody else who doesn't understand that, you got to work a little bit harder with them, or you maybe have to let them go or put them in a different position, because you shouldn't have to say over and over, these are our brand images. These are acceptable. These are not. Can you see the difference? Train them really well so that you can turn over, whether it's ad creation or it's social media content creation, to somebody else. So you don't have to do it all if you do this really well. So chances are it has a lot to do with your image if posts are doing well. So making it always pristine and adding a cover. If we're talking about like why your videos perform really well, a pretty cover could impair your results, because sometimes that face and eyes actually outperform. An outperformer of mine on content topic I've shared before and after that does best, there's just one. It's because it's a face. It's my face peeking in to share the post. So it's not actually me doing the core exercise, which is the topic. It's me peeking in with eyes and a face, and I probably look clean and maybe my hair was done. I don't know. Before you just pick your brand, study what your audience is telling you it likes. All right, number 4, you're almost there. Okay. Squeeze more juice. Share what you've already created. Number 4 of these 5 marketing ideas, quickie is definitely easy and almost effortless. So that makes it easy to forget. So many of us are guilty of this. I'm a recovering content creator. Like, I love to go and create, here are the next topics I'm going to create a podcast on. Here are the next topics I'm going to write blog articles on or present on at national conferences. I love that part of it. However, I have so much great content. I mean, folks, I've been doing this for 38 years, writing articles for newspapers and then online after that, presenting internationally, writing 6 books, and writing a blog every week, at least one time for about 8 years, doing a podcast once, twice, sometimes a whole month, every day. You think don't have content? I do, but yet sometimes I create a brand new one. I don't need to do that anymore. So it's not that you shouldn't create more content. It's just that you already have great content. Give that content life regularly. Share it again and again in regular cycles. I actually create a spreadsheet of, here's the post, here's the topic, here's the URL to it, here's what we discussed in it, here's when it was last shared, so that we know we can rotate it, maybe 3 to 4 weeks if it's one of our key cornerstone pieces of content. I'm willing to bet you already have a lot of content, articles, videos that resonated with your audience. So go and find them. All right. Last but not least, are you ready? Be a go-giver. You don't have to create all the content. Share other people's content. So why would you want to do this? Well, because then you don't have to create. It's number 1. But number 2, you still can create it as your content for your customer and give yourself value and credibility and authority. So share other people's posts and comment on them. Make them your brand, by adding an interpretation for your audience. So there often is like great content shared, but that I know my audience will miss a key point unless I share that key point with them. So it's very, very easy to do that. There's tons of good content. Everybody out there is doing exactly what you're doing. I got to create more content, right? So go and use that. When your friends, your colleagues, even people you'd consider competitors are out there, trust me, my friends, there is enough business. There's enough clients and people who need our help to go around. Share it. Just interpret it. Play well with others. They will play well with you. It's how we help each other help more people. Isn't that the biggest goal? So put your heart and your head behind the ultimate and the big goal. That ends up coming back to you. That's it. A simple 5 marketing ideas for your health and fitness business that can give you not just 5 posts, but be an evergreen source of inspiration. You already have the ability to do this. The work is largely done. So just to summarize, number 1 was tell your story. Take time, write it down, talk it out. And that may be a post, maybe a video, maybe a written post that you link to a video. So many pieces of content you can put out on so many platforms. Number 2, find your best performing content, rinse and repeat. Even if you're just starting out, you already have some evidence. If you've got 5 or 10 posts, you know which one did better. Number 3, establish brand continuity. People should recognize and identify you, but not because they see your colors, right? But because they recognize this is the kind of imagery that you put out. This is the kind of message you put out. Number 4, squeeze more juice from those lemons you already have. And I don't mean lemons, but oranges. Let's just say that. Share what you've already created. I am so guilty of this. I'll create something, it's sitting there, and then I honestly, I've got somebody on staff right now. I have to remind them too, I don't have to create another podcast. What we're going to do is use prior podcasts over and over and over again to talk about strength training. How many times have I talked about that? Do you think, right, in 38 years? Oh my God, probably 10,000. Right. So think about that, but then be a go-giver. You don't have to create it all the time or have created it. If you're just getting started and just finding your own voice, share other people's content, but give that the voice of interpretation. Think about what your secret sauce is and how you support your customers and clients in understanding information that they get. All right, you're going to find that I've got this one for you at fitnessmarketingmastery.com. That is our website. That's not changing. /5, the number, marketing ideas. And what I want to make sure that you also know is I'm going to put links in the show notes to the resources that I mentioned. First of all, the Marketing to Women course, if you are struggling to write your emails, feel like, oh my God, that's dumb, or your subject lines are not getting opens, or titling your videos so that you get more views on YouTube because it's much more competitive now than it was 3 years ago. This one's for you. But if that feels like too much of a leap, there's a 5-day fitness marketing course that you can take with me just to attract specifically midlife clients. It's 5 of the biggest things, the things that will make the biggest impact for you. And we go a little bit deeper into things similar as this, really, but exercises where you will do the workshop to pull the things out that are you. So if you're interested in getting more help, getting more clients, and attracting them in a way that is anything but sleazy and salesy, this, my friends, is for you. So, love hearing from you. Leave me a note below the podcast at fitnessmarketingmastery.com /5 marketing ideas. What are you waiting for? The world needs us right now more than ever.